Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Voices of the Great Beyond. For the first time in English, we see unprecedented messages that were psychophonically provided to us through the blessed mediumship of Chico Xavier. Let us continue our journey together then. How did these psychophonic messages through speaking mediumship come about? They came about in a small Brazilian city named Pedro Leopoldo in the May Spiritist Center, on the very table we see on our screen, with the use of a tape recorder in the 1950s. So many decades later, we are here nourishing our souls due to the efforts, collective efforts of these wonderful spiritists. So, who is the spirit who offered us the message which we are going to study tonight? Who is the communicating spirit? His name is Antonio Gonçalves da Silva. He was born in Portugal and lived for quite a long period of time in Brazil, where he was known as Batuira. He, upon experiencing the physical death of one of his children, embraced Spiritism as the promised consoler, and not only came to understand that reason and faith could walk hand in hand, but he made an inner decision to multiply the good. How so? By creating many spiritist centers at his time, long time ago, throughout many states in Brazil, an effort that was uncommon at the time. So we are very grateful for his courageousness in the good. And who was the medium responsible for bringing about this message we are going to study tonight? The medium is our beloved Chico Xavier, who dedicated his life to serving his neighbor and loving his neighbor as commanded by our Lord Jesus Christ. So, inspired by the partnership between Chico Xavier on our plane and Batuira in the spiritual realm, let us now nourish our souls with the message Batuira brought to us.
My
The,
brothers,
mes-
may the divine
the message is entitled Serve as to Deserve. It's chapter 8 of the book Voices of the Great Beyond. Let us listen to the message now in English.
goodness of our Lord Jesus Christ be praised. Asking is more than natural, however. It is reasonable to know what we are asking for. Habitually, we bring to Spiritism the inheritance of the least effort, deriving from religious confessions that have addicted our minds to excessive external worship, necessitating in this way to strive energetically so that the vocation of systematic petitioning gives way to the spirit of struggle with which we must accept the permanent challenges of life. In the exchange with discarnate souls coming from the sphere closest to you, you are surprised by all types of spiritual fall. Under storms of hate and tears, despair and regret, guilty consciences, dated or numb, they offer you the sad spectacle of the inner defeat to which they were thrown due to their own carelessness. It is just that soldiers of evolution, they forgot the weapons of moral value and firm will with which they should fight on Earth in the acquisition of their own improvement, transitioning to the parasitic condition of those who receive from others without giving of themselves, and ending their human internships like ghosts of hesitation and fear, transferring themselves from the shackles of laziness and pusillanimity to slavery to those brutalized intelligences in the crime which consciously operate in the shadows. Let us rise to live as students worthy of the school that welcomes us. Incarnates and discarnates, let us unite in the dynamism of good to always place our opportunity for elevation higher. It is useless to pass on our duty to others because inflexible time awaits us, demanding from us the tribute of experience, without which it will not be possible for us to advance in just progress. All of us have a gruesome past to repay, and from the living memories of this criminal past, we compulsorily collect the reflections of our inferior ties, which, like roots of our destiny, project dark reminiscences upon us. We all have afflictions and doubts, inhibitions and difficulties, and without them, we would certainly be in the position of the simple but savage and primitivist being, indefinitely deprived of the benefit of the school. Let us shed light onto our brains in renewing study and cleanse our hearts with the grinder of work. Then we will understand that the Lord lent us the precious gifts that add value to our existence, not so that we can worship insubstantial ease, thickening the long line of beggars and inveterate lazy individuals, but so that we are worthy companions of the light, walking towards his love and wisdom with our own feet. In this way, let us learn to serve so as to deserve.
So let us now, dear friends, start breaking down this message together. So it is important for us to meditate upon what we ask for usually. Let us hear from Batuira. He reminds us that asking is more than natural. However, we need to be aware of what exactly we are asking for. In other words, what is our relationship with the illuminated spirits that guide us, with Master Jesus, our governor, and ultimately with God, our Creator? Do we treat them as genies of the lamp that are supposed to serve us? Or are we aware that we are enrolled in the school of life to serve others in their name? Let us meditate upon this and continue our study. Batuira reminds us that throughout centuries in our past lives, we have developed an addiction to external worship. And as a result of that, we bring to Spiritism the inheritance of the least effort, deriving from religious confessions that have addicted our minds to excessive external worship. So Batuira here reminds us that yes, we have practiced many rituals in the past to represent our connection with God, but these rituals have not caused any profound transformation in us. And as we know, we have reincarnated to propel profound transformations in us. This is why the transformation has to be an inner work, result of inner work instead of external worship. So we are, with the help of Batuira, being invited to shift our paradigm that guides our relationship with God. Let us proceed then learning with Batuira. Batuira then reminds us that in order for this shift to take place, for us to move away from seeking for external change and move towards promoting internal change, we need to embrace the spirit of struggle. Why? Because it is challenging to propel profound transformation in us, and it is only natural that moving away from our comfort zone feels uncomfortable. So we are reincarnated, all of us, to experience discomfort, the discomfort of profound change. And so Batuira invites us to energetically embrace the spirit of struggle so that we accept that life is filled with challenges because God loves us and wants us to develop new moral virtues. And in order for us to develop moral virtues, challenges come along as opportunities. So we are being invited tonight to one, embrace our challenges, and two, come to understand them, read them, or encode them as divine opportunities for progress. And Batuira has more to say, so let us proceed. And Batuira explains to us why it is important for us to focus on our inner transformation and embrace the challenges given to us by God as opportunities for change. Because if we don't embrace these opportunities for change, if we attempt to escape our reincarnatory plan and take shortcuts, we are going to be caught in storms of hate and tears coming from our past tendencies. And because we will surrender to our past tendencies, we will feel guilty, and this feeling of guilt will result in a sense of inner defeat. And Batuira tells us that this inner defeat takes place due to our own carelessness, because as we try to escape, be it through alcohol, drugs, or blaming others for the difficulties in our lives, not taking responsibility, not embracing our spirituality, we are the ones responsible for the pathway that we choose to take, moving away from our reincarnatory plan. So Batuira is saying, we who are reincarnated, let us instead embrace our reincarnatory plan and courageously face challenges as Batuira himself did, so that we do not experience a sense of inner defeat. For all of us are meant to succeed in our reincarnation. Let us proceed then with Batuira's recommendations. Batuira continues teaching us on how to succeed in our reincarnation by telling us that the discarnate spirits that often communicated in the Spiritu Center May showed that even though, like us, they are soldiers of evolution, they forgot the weapons of moral value and firm will, because in order to promote profound changes, we need to have strong willpower, as Emmanuel explains to us in the book Thought and Life. And we need to know that we have reincarnated for the purpose of achieving spiritual growth. and so that we acquire our own improvement. If we forget that this is our north, these are the reasons why we reincarnated, we will become slaves of our own laziness and lack of courage. And as a result, we will associate ourselves with brutalized intelligences that will encourage us to commit crimes against God's laws in the shadows, committing crimes such as running away from life, running away from our own reincarnatory plan. And Batuira continues on by reminding us now of the root cause of all of our addictions. He brings the root cause of our addictions about. And the root cause of our addictions is laziness or inertia. This is the very root cause from which we have reincarnated to escape and to transform inside of us. This is what we want to escape away from, and not our reincarnatory plan. Our reincarnatory plan is meant to be embraced with courage. And to tell us more about the importance of our reincarnation and the courage to live life according to God's will, our dear Daisy is going to continue on with us.
So Batuira continues on this message for us, telling us that we need to rise to live as students worth of the school that welcome us. Have we ever thought about planet Earth being a school? Because that is what the experimenters brings to us all the time, reminding us, remember the planet that you live in. If we go to the Spirit's book, also to the Gospel according to Spiritism, there we can read about the different types of planets. And we get to know that we live in a planet of trials or tests and expiations or attunements, meaning that we are here to be tested, and also we are here to adjust ourselves because of our previous choices. So knowing that is so important because it gives us a different perspective, because we see and we get to know that Earth is a school and also a hospital. So that's why the mentors are always reminding us, saying, you are not reincarnated to be in a vacation. If that is the theme of our lives, we need to quickly use our GPS, internal GPS, to readjust ourselves. Because if we continue on this route, is what Batuira is telling us, thinking that life on earth is a vacation, we should enjoy life, then we not gonna be placing ourselves in the right place. We're gonna be going against our planet. And then to bring us back, there is something that most often than not comes, it's pain. Pain comes to reroute us, to push us. So are we gonna wait for pain, or are we gonna rise ourselves to live as a students on earth? What does that mean to live as a student? But Rita will tell us more. So let us continue in the message, because he's gonna tell us what is to change this perspective so we can succeed, as Carol said, in this reincarnation. He says, it is useless to pass on our duty to others because inflexible times awaits us, demanding from us, not from our neighbor, not from our parents, not from those who are across our planet. It demands from us to the tribute of experience. Without it, we will not be possible for us to advance in just progress. So, Batuira is telling us that in order to progress, we need experience. Experience, what does that mean? We know that we were created simple and ignorant. In order to progress, we need to go through different experience. It's like building a muscle. We need to build the muscle of our soul. It's not only going to the gym to build our muscles to be fit, but it's the most important one is the muscle of our souls. And going through this experience, that's why it's the beauty of reincarnation. We are here temporarily, maybe in the body of a man, maybe in the body of a woman. Next life, it will be a different situation. We'll have a different body, maybe a different gender. We're gonna be in a different country, speaking a different language, all so that we can acquire this experience to progress. So, Batuir is saying, remember, you have a duty. God didn't create you for nothing, just to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. No, we have a duty in the book, Thought and Life by Emmanuel. And we have a whole study here on Kardec Radio if you want to listen more. Here, Carol was telling us there's a chapter about will, there's a chapter about duty, where Emmanuel reminds us that duties are, in other words, a series of activities in the good that God gives us the responsibility to execute. So, is that activities in the good that God's saying, I want you to be in this family, in this role. Maybe he has a daughter, has a husband, maybe has a father, has a mother, has a brother, has a sister, and I'm giving you the duty to do the good that you can for this family. I'm giving you the duty to be in this particular country, inserted in this particular community, so you fulfill your duty, and so on and so forth. So this changes our perspective because we know that nothing is by chance. We are here, we have a task. As Carol reminds us, we have a very detailed reincarnatory plan. So we have a set of duties that we need to fulfill, and we not going to be able to progress without it. So what happens when we don't fulfill our duties? Batuiras reminds us, all of us have a gruesome past to repay, and from the living memories of this criminal past, we compulsory collect the reflections of our inferior ties, which, like roots of our destiny, project dark reminiscence upon us. So he is reminding us that there is the law of action and reaction. So when we don't fulfill the duties that God placed to us, when we go against God's laws, we are accumulating, yes, all those memories, all those images that he says here, those collection of reflections against us. No, it's not what we did to the neighbor, but our conscience, we go against God's laws. So it's a law. We're going to have to come back and readjust. So every time we reincarnate, we bring that past with us. So that's why sometimes we say, but I'm doing everything right in this life. But then circumstances comes, challenges comes, and we need to remind ourselves, remember, we are at school. And as a student, we will have to go through those tests, but we're also going to have to atone to the wrongs that we did in the past. So, what is the solution? We cannot change the past, right? The past is in the past, but the present is the present. So, Batuira is now going to give us the recipe, the tools that we have at our fingerprints to succeed in this reincarnation. He says, let us shed light into our brains in renewing study and cleanse our hearts with the grinder of work. Yes, those two words are the key words for us, study and work. It is so interesting. The high spirits, they never bring us a message. We have never seen a message that says, rest more, relax more, enjoy life. On the contrary, they come and they push us. So he's saying, remember, you are on earth. Earth is a school and a hospital. You are here as a student, and a student needs to study to succeed and pass to the next level, and that requires work. What is this saying? Is it the work going in our jobs from 8 to 5? He's talking about working to cleanse our hearts. He's saying, work, fulfill the duties that God has assigned to you. In the Spirit's book, we get to know in the third part, the laws of God, that work is a law of God. Yes, when we don't work, when we're not useful, because Kardec explains to us, work is any useful activity. So anytime we're being useful to ourselves, but useful to others, we are working. We're fulfilling God's law. So when we combine study and work, which they go hand in hand, we cannot study without working. That's the key for us to succeed. And then he brings us the reminder. He says, then we will understand that the Lord lends us the precious gifts that add value to our existence. Not so that we can worship unsubstantial ease, thickening the long lines of beggars and inveterate, lazy individuals, but so that we are worthy companions of the light, walking towards his love and wisdom with our own feet. It's so interesting because the more that we progress, we know that the elevated spirits, the illuminated spirits, they are working all the time. People think, I'm going to discarnate, and they say, oh, people, they are now resting. Well, we are here to break the news, not ourselves, but the spirits come and they remind us, no, if they are elevated in the spiritual realm, they're going to be doing the opposite. They're going to be working much more because God created us to be useful. So he's saying, fulfill your duties, study and work, not so that you can sit back and relax and become lazy individuals. As Carol said, laziness is truly a disease of our souls. It's the root causes of the biggest challenges in our lives. So he's saying, if we go to the core, if we work on our laziness, that's key. So how can we do it? We're gonna borrow study and work. So we're gonna borrow from a message by Emmanuel in a book that is not yet in English, Servers of the Beyond, where he talks about laziness. And he says, if laziness asks you rest answer it with little more effort in the work that awaits your contribution. So he's saying, let us say no to laziness. If that voice comes and says, oh, rest a little more, when we look at the things, the to-do list or the things to do around the home, and we feel overwhelmed, we don't know where to start. Remember, let us work. That voice is not the voice of the good, because the good spirits will never tell us rest more. So what can we do? There are many things that we can do to work in our laziness. Experts says they recommend start. You have a to-do list, Joanna Delangelis says in the book Happy Life. Start with the easiest task. You don't need to start with the hardest. Start with that easy one. And then from that small one, you build to the next, to the next. Or you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do this, or I'm going to complete this task for 25 minutes. And then we work on it, and then we give ourselves a break, and then we come back. So the Spiritist teachings and science comes already to give us many tools so that we can get out of this laziness. Occupy our time with the good. If the weekend come and from Friday evening to Monday morning, all we do is to sit on our couches and binge watch Netflix or whatever we do, and then Monday comes and we spend the whole weekend doing nothing, is that what we think God would like us to do? Is that what God is asking us to do? He's saying, no, go volunteer at a shelter or a nursing home next to your home. Then you see suffering. Spend a few hours of your day. But Deise, I need to rest. I work the whole week. Friends, we need to shift the way we see rest. Yes, we need to rest our physical bodies, but we can be useful and at the same time being recharged. Yes, once we maximize that, that's the key for us. So let us push ourselves, because what will happen next? We have seen in mediumistic meetings, and the mentors in other books have shown to us, those who are in this laziness mode, the next reincarnation will be much harder, because then we will want to do things and we're not going to be able to reincarnate on earth anymore. So the key for us tonight is to say no to laziness. And then Batuira ends by saying, in this way, by studying and working and saying no to laziness, let us learn to serve for has for to deserve. In our prayers, we ask God for so much, but how is God is going to help us if we're not helping ourselves? So let us remember, as Kardec said, without charity, there is no salvation. Charity is the key. And in order for us to be charitable, we need to get out of ourselves, out of our laziness. We need to work. We need to study. We need to fulfill our duties. So, who is the best example on earth for us? Because we need models in our lives to mirror, to look at them and say, okay, I can do it. And our guide and model is Jesus. Jesus is the model. So we remember, if Jesus was here, what would he be doing? Would he be just sitting down and thinking about the next vacation and the next vacation? We never heard Jesus planning a vacation. On the contrary, he was planning on how he would help others, how he would alleviate suffering, how he would extend a helping hand. So, as our model, let us look at Jesus. And when that voice comes and say, but you are doing so much, rest, we say. Jesus came, didn't have a house, he didn't have a car, he didn't have air conditioner, he didn't even have tennis shoes. He was wearing sandals, walking, traveling on donkeys, and he did so much. So Jesus came to show us, let us simplify and let us fulfill our duties, because Batuira said it all for us. As we get out of our laziness, we prevent our own suffering, not others, ourselves. So, friends, that is the message for us tonight. Let us focus. Remember, studying and working. Yes, let us love to study, love to work. Let us tell our children we love to study, we love going to school. This this saying our society, but I hate school, I don't like my job. No, let us shift the paradigm, in our lives will truly change. We'll see you next week for another beautiful message from the book Voices of the Great Beyond. We thank Chico Xavier for bringing us this book in Batuira. Thank you, dear friends, and we'll see you next week.